How are you today? Welcome again to our program, Insight to Live. Insight to Live is a program that focuses on the situations, primarily on the problems that we have, especially on fears of life. Like those who are having failures in a situation that they do not understand in themselves, that they are in the scarcities, or even in a psychological problems. We are here to bring you advices. We are here to read with you the scriptures, looking at the best options that we can do in our life. Our Almighty has a program in our life. That's the reason that we are here in this earth, to fulfill the kind of life that He wants us to fulfill. Once again, I'd like to welcome you in our program. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe, like, and share. And kindly press the button for you will get updated in all of our video posts. Please share also these videos, our videos, that many people will come and understand the purpose of living. Shalom. Fears. Fears covers our life in our situations today. Our leaders putting us into fears. Fears to be forced to something that we do not want in ourselves. Fears of our freedom and fears of the viruses that is within us today. If we are going to understand carefully our life, like for example, in the midst of fears, what are we going to do? Ang iba sa atin, kung saan humahanap ng hugot para lamang maibsan ang kanyang kinatatakutan. But don't you know that at the midst of fears, God calls. And this is what we're going to discuss today, being our topic. In the title, You Are in a Set Apart Ground. May the Almighty bless us together as we are going to discuss this very important part of our life, that at the midst of fears in life, God calls. So our title today, You Are in a Set Apart Ground. Think carefully. What are the reasons why we have those fears in life? Lalong-lalo na sa ngayon. Buong mundo, marami tayong kinatatakutan, lalo na sa mga hindi bakunado, lalo na sa mga affected by the COVID virus, and everything. We have a lot of fears in our life. But have you come to a point of kneeling down before the presence of the Almighty, asking Him of His will and His guidance of the fears that we have in life? In Exodus chapter 3 verses 1 to 15, from this context, we are going to look at what is the significance of fears in our life and the calling of God in the midst of our fears. I would like to base the focus of our attention in the book of Exodus chapter 3 verses 1 to 15. In verse 1, And Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burning. Verse 4, And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Verse 5, and he said, Draw nigh hither, put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place whereon thy standest is a holy ground. The word holy in Hebrew means kadosh. And the word kadosh, if we are going to read it in English, that is set apart. Therefore, the ground where Moses stood up is a set apart ground. That is why God said unto him, Put off your sandals, for this is a holy ground. In the situation, in our topic, that was when the time that Moses fled away from the presence of Pharaoh because he is afraid of his life. Why? Because when he killed an Egyptian, because of duel, he did not perceive what he did to an Egyptian. And so when he noted that someone has saw what he did to an Egyptian, he fled away, because after Pharaoh noted what he did to an Egyptian man, he tried to shout for Moses and kill him. Most of the time, we are fears of our life. Am I right? We are fears to be killed. We are fear of everything. But here, there is a unique reason of the fears of Moses. Again, as I have said a while ago, have we come to a point that we kneel down before the presence of the Almighty because of our fears? Like in our situations today, leaders of every country would like to arrest those who are unvaccinated, and they have forgotten the uniqueness of creation of the Almighty before the humanity. And they have forgotten that there might be a reason of the virus that roaming around us, why they should put somebody to be arrested. Well, they said it is just because of scientific reason. Unvaccinated people, they said, are the carrier of the virus. Do they have a scientific reason that unvaccinated person is a mere carrier of the virus? Now, they have forgotten that every living creatures, even the animals, even the insect, could be a carrier of the virus. And how about the air? Have they forgotten that it is human who polluted the air? And so, virus flies all over the place to be carried by human one. China has launched her own sun that they claim it is more hotter than the real sun that we have. Now, maybe the world have forgotten that there might be an effect to the human lives to this kind of sun that they have launched previously. They did not even have any studies what might happen to the world or to the human race if they do this artificial sun. Because the real sun has its purpose. That's why the hot nature of the Son is equivalent to the requirement of our daily living. Now, in our studies today, after Moses fled away from the presence of Pharaoh because of his fears that he might be killed or he might be arrested and bring to dungeon forever, he went to Midian in the place of Jethro, and suddenly he met the children of Jethro. And now, we are going to discuss what happened when he reached the place of Jethro and met his children and later became part of his life. Number 1, turn aside and see it's an open doors. In any situation that we have in our life, like for instance, we are in the pandemic. Most of us have no job. Most of us has closed their business. And most of us, nothing at all. They don't have even any penny in their pocket. Now, in the situation that Moses happened in his life when he fled away from the presence of Pharaoh because of his fears, at a moment, he saw a burning bush. And, firstly, he did not focus himself on the burning bush, but a while, he looked at and he turned aside and see what door might be open for him. In Exodus chapter 3 verse 2, it said, "And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed." What is an open door here in verse 3? And Moses said, "Turn aside." Maybe your fears is just because the way of your thinking. It is natural that we have our fears in life. And we cannot avoid ourselves of looking at, because it is our nature due to psychological reasons. And here, when Moses turned himself, what he saw? A great sight. A great sight. Friend, viewers, turn aside that in front of you, in your fears, there is a great sight. Do you remember when Israelites was in Egypt at the hands of Pharaoh? By the time that there was a Passover, what did God unto all Israel? He forcibly quarantined them for them to be what? To avoid the virus that may happen on that night. He let all the Israelites to be in their home and wait for the things that might happen. What he instructed is that he let them put a mark on the blood of an animal in their doorposts, that when the angel of death comes and pass by, have you not perceived that they do not have any pennies in themselves? You see, how many years that Egypt did not give them their salary. But They are forced to work every day in their lives. So when the angel of death passed by, what happened? Virus went around Egypt. Like our situations today, if you believe in God, if you have that trust in the Lord, if you believe in the eternal plan of the Almighty, there is a reason why we have to stay in our house and wait for the chastity that the Almighty will do. Let us pray to the Almighty One that those make us or put us pressures a lot in our head, God will show His signs and wonders to them. And eventually, they will be in prison into the eternal lake of fire. So there is a purpose, my dearly beloved. Let them persecute you, all those leaders outside. The policemen, the president, the senators, the congressmen, and everybody who are persecuting us. Later, when the anger of the Almighty will see them, because we cannot go ahead of the perfect plan of the Almighty. You read the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation, it is written, a prophetical view of the future of the earth. And next to our turn aside and see it's an open door, Moses was instructed to not to turn. In verses 4 to 5 and 6, it said, "And when the Lord saw that he turned aside and see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet. For the place whereon thou standest is a holy ground, a set apart place, a kadosh place." And in verse 6 it said, "Moreover," he said, "I am the Almighty. I am the power of thy father, the power of Abram, Isaac, and the power of Jacob." And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. What happened to Moses? He was afraid. And literally, Moses afraid to see the presence of the Almighty. That's why God told him, "Do not turn. Look at me. You are in a set apart place. You are in a holy ground." My friend, if you believe and follow the instructions of the Almighty in your life, you are in a set apart place. God has set apart you to be called by the Almighty. And the last is, you are set to serve. Why? Because in verse 7 it said, "And he said, Certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee that I have sent thee. When you hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God upon this mountain." Let me correct. It's not verse 7. This is verse 12. Very clear that there is a calling unto all the people living under what kind of fears they have in their lives. It is very important to understand the purpose of every reasons, everything that is happening around us. And so, with any situations that we have right now, if fears is roaming around us, go back to the Almighty. Do not turn and look at His will. May the Almighty bless you and keep you as you have heard the message of the instructions of the Almighty One. Shalom.